Was this an exit wound? If it was, where's the entry? Who actually shot him? Was the guy on the roof actually the guy? If he was, why was he running off the roof with no apparent gun in his hand? Oh, he took it apart. Because that makes sense when you're trying to get away from a murder scene. You're gonna sit there on the roof and take your gun apart just so you can put it in your backpack. And then you're gonna reassemble it and dump it in the woods just so whenever they find it, it looks picture perfect for them. And then you have the surgeon and someone from TPUSA say that he's a man of steel because his neck is low.
They said he was shot from the front, but what if the entry wound tells a different story? What if the official version doesn't match the medical evidence? Could Charlie Kirk have been shot from behind? The central mystery is this: is there credible forensic or witness evidence suggesting the fatal shot came from a different angle than the rooftop narrative we've been told? Could misinterpretation of entrance versus exit wounds, or the confusion of sound and timing, have built a narrative on shaky ground? And if the shot really came from behind, what would that mean for the investigation, the suspect, and the witnesses who swore they knew what they saw? Autopsy reports. Medical notes on the trajectory of the neck wound. Surveillance footage, from the rooftop, from the crowd, from possible vantage points that don't align with the official line. Eyewitness testimony, fragments of sound, echoes bouncing off the campus walls, contradictory recollections of where the shot rang out. And the forensics themselves, entry angles, bullet path, inconsistencies that could upend the entire case. If you find this case is confusing, or possibly misrepresented, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and what you believe. Was Charlie Kirk really shot from behind? Because here's the truth: if we don't challenge the official story, we risk letting truth be buried under assumptions. If we stay silent in the face of possible inconsistencies, we let half-truths become whole lies. And if you walk away without pushing for full evidence, you let justice settle for incomplete answers. September 10th, 2025. Utah Valley University, Orem, Utah. A crisp late summer afternoon. Charlie Kirk stood beneath a white canopy tent, delivering remarks on what he called the American Comeback Tour. The crowd leaned forward, some cheering, others jeering, when at exactly 12:23 p.m., a single shot cut the air. Chaos erupted. Kirk fell, struck in the neck by a round that silenced the event in an instant. Witnesses screamed, others dove for cover. Within seconds, confusion reigned. Had the shot come from the front, from above, or from somewhere else entirely? Law enforcement moved swiftly. UVU police, Orem city officers, and Utah County deputies locked down the campus. Within minutes, the FBI and ATF joined the scene. Helicopters circled overhead. Students were herded into buildings as investigators scrambled to piece together what had just happened. Near the scene, abandoned in haste, they found it, a .30-06 Mauser bolt-action rifle, wrapped in a towel. Forensic teams moved in, swabbing the trigger, the bolt, even a discarded screwdriver. DNA traces would later tie the weapon back to one man, Tyler Robinson. But before that name was even public, the nation already knew. Clips of the moment went viral within minutes. On Twitter, TikTok, and cable news, the assassination attempt was replayed in endless loops. The narrative hardened fast: a rooftop shooter, a front-facing trajectory, a single suspect in custody. Yet even as outrage and political framing surged, from elected officials, pundits, and millions online, the real question simmered beneath the noise: had the full story of that gunshot already been locked into place too soon? The evidence. It begins with the rifle, a bolt-action .30-06 Mauser, heavy, precise, found wrapped in a towel. Investigators concluded the fatal round was fired from the rooftop of the Losi Center building, nearly 200 yards away. The towel itself, and a screwdriver left near the rifle, carried DNA traces linked directly to Tyler Robinson. But this case has never been just about the physical evidence. The bullet casing wasn't ordinary. It was carved with messages bizarre, symbolic, and mocking. One read, "Hey fascist, catch." Another, "Bella Ciao." Still another, almost taunting, notices, bulges, "Oh whoa, what's this?" They weren't just shells, they were statements. Psychological fingerprints, left behind to frame the shooting not just as an act of violence, but as an act of theater. Digital trails deepened the picture. Surveillance video captured a figure on the rooftop, then later, someone fleeing. Discord chats surfaced. Texts to a roommate, to a partner, references to planning, deleting evidence, expressing regret, and admissions that the idea had been nurtured for over a week. Put together, prosecutors point to an unbroken chain: the weapon, the DNA, the video, the messages, the confession. The official narrative says Robinson fired from the rooftop, shot Kirk in the neck, and left the evidence behind. But here's the fracture point. To accept the official story is to accept the frontline trajectory, a bullet from above, forward-facing. To believe the whispers, that Kirk was shot from behind, requires evidence the public has not seen, a medical report showing an entry wound inconsistent with the rooftop angle. Yet to this day, no autopsy photos have been released. No medical experts, outside government briefings, have weighed in on the wound itself. So the prosecution's case appears airtight, but one critical piece remains hidden. The body tells a story. And until that story is fully revealed, the question of angle, front, or behind, remains an open wound in this investigation. Who is Tyler Robinson? 22 years old. Born and raised in Washington County, Utah, the quiet sprawl of St. George. No criminal record. No history of violence. And yet, in the span of a single afternoon, his name became synonymous with political assassination. His family described him as once aligned with their own conservative beliefs. But something shifted. In recent years, Tyler became politically active, his views diverging sharply from those of his parents. Early online, his posts lived in the world of memes and irony, jokes that blurred into darker statements. What began as sarcasm sometimes carried a sharper edge. Then came a relationship, his partner, who was transgender. To some, it humanized him. To others, it revealed conflict between the expectations of his conservative upbringing and the complexity of his private life. This tension, ideological, personal, cultural, was the backdrop to his alleged turn. Reports suggest a process of radicalization, fed by online communities, echo chambers where every grievance became amplified, every ideology reinforced. Friends and family saw contradictions they couldn't reconcile, a young man shaped by conservative roots, drawn into progressive memes, and yet consumed by an obsession with political figures like Kirk. The pressure intensified. As whispers of his identity spread online, as media speculation hardened into certainty, Robinson found himself both hunted and behind every headline. There are insiders, those closest to the accused, suddenly thrust into the center of history. In Tyler Robinson's case, it began with his roommate. Investigators describe him as highly cooperative, handing over Discord logs and private messages, digital traces of intent, planning, regret. His cooperation formed one of the prosecution's strongest pillars. Defined by others. To the public, he was a faceless gunman on a rooftop. To those closer, he was a young man caught in the storm of conflicting identities, family, politics, and love, until the tension snapped. Then, there was the partner. Their identity has been carefully shielded from the public eye. A choice born from ethics, and perhaps protection. For some, the silence fuels curiosity. For others, it raises a darker question: are we respecting trauma, or concealing truths too fragile to bear public scrutiny? Even family played a role. A relative recognized Tyler in the images circulating online, and that recognition, painful and undeniable, helped guide law enforcement to his arrest. The family later spoke publicly of his changing political views, his drifting behavior, their struggle to reconcile the boy they raised with the suspect in handcuffs. But was Tyler Robinson the mastermind of this crime, or a vessel, carrying the weight of narratives larger than himself?
But cooperation is never simple. Did the roommate and partner act from moral responsibility, or from fear of being pulled into the case themselves? Did the family act out of duty to law and country, or out of relief mixed with guilt? Betrayal, or justice? The ethical dilemmas cut deeper than the evidence itself. The hunger for detail collides with the right to privacy. The release of testimony collides with questions of selective pressure. And in the court of public opinion, the lines split sharply. Some argue that without the insiders' voices, there could be no case. Others whisper that their testimony has been shaped, curated, to fit a narrative, one that leaves contradictory pieces on the cutting room floor. Motive. It is the shadow that lingers over every crime. For Tyler Robinson, prosecutors point to ideology, a simmering hatred of Charlie Kirk's rhetoric, particularly on trans issues, rhetoric that cut close to his own relationship and identity. A political disagreement, turned fatal. But beneath the ideological layer lies the personal. A young man caught between family conservatism and private love. Online forums that fed his anger. The constant reinforcement of echo chambers where mockery blurred into militancy. For Robinson, the line between self, partner, and politics seemed to collapse until only one target remained. And yet, speculation clouds every corner of this case. The most explosive claim, that Kirk was shot from behind, remains unproven. No credible medical or autopsy report has surfaced to support that narrative. No civilian experts have confirmed it. And still, the rumor spreads like fire. Were there accomplices? A second set of hands that staged the scene, or guided the logistics? Was the medical evidence shaped to fit the rooftop story? Could an autopsy detail, unseen, unpublished, rewrite everything we think we know? The fog of misinformation only thickened early on, mistaken identities, ideological labels hurled before facts were clear. Each headline hardened into perception, whether true or not. But here is the haunting truth: if a single angle in a wound, or a single unseen video frame, shifts the story, who bears the blame if we accepted the official account too soon? In a case soaked in political symbolism, how much faith can we place in statements crafted by those with an interest in shaping the narrative? And perhaps most chilling of all, could unseen forensic details still emerge, waiting to overturn the story of Charlie Kirk's final moments? The shot that felled Charlie Kirk did more than end a life, it detonated across a nation already divided. Shock. Grief. Outrage. Political leaders from both parties condemned it as what it was called almost immediately: political violence, an assassination on American soil. The media locked onto a single frame of the story, the rooftop trajectory. News anchors repeated it. Commentators tied it to debates over free speech and the dangers of polarization. For days, the country lived under an endless loop of that canopy, that collapse, that rooftop silhouette. But with the speed of modern news came errors. Early reports mangled details of the inscriptions on the bullet casings, some claiming direct references to trans issues, others exaggerating what was etched. Confusion became fuel. On social media, theories spread faster than official statements. Was there more than one shooter? Did a shadow figure escape unseen? Could George Zinn's bizarre false confession mean something deeper? Viral clips dissected the audio of a gunshot, arguing about cracked thumb echoes, angles, distances, each distortion treated like gospel by those desperate for answers. And beneath the noise, broader currents surged. The blurred line between political rhetoric and political violence. The echo chambers where misinformation thrives. The dangerous speed at which conspiracies become conviction. Amid all of this, one demand rang louder than the rest: transparency. Where was the medical report? Where were the forensic details? In a moment where trust in institutions is fragile, the absence of clear evidence left only speculation, and in speculation, doubt grows. The story, as it stands, feels almost complete. Tyler Robinson, 22, now charged with assassination. The rifle in evidence. The DNA on a towel, on a screwdriver. The engraved casings with taunts. The digital confessions, captured forever in Discord logs and private texts. The official report frames it clearly: a shot fired from the rooftop of the Losi Center, front-facing, striking Charlie Kirk in the neck. Because if we stay silent in the face of possible inconsistencies, we let half-truths harden into whole lies. And if you walk away without demanding full evidence, you allow justice